Welcome to the 18 Minutes Podcast. Today's episode is about supporting people with disordered anxiety. And I'm lucky enough to have with me my biggest supporter, my husband, Tom.
Hello, everyone.
Tom and I have been together for a long time, and he's seen literally the worst of my mental health issues and supported me and coached me through it. His experience and expertise is really valuable. Tom is a natural born coach, and so you can imagine how helpful that was for me when I was struggling. So I'm happy to have him here to give you the advice and support that he gave me too.
I made a lot of stuff up, so let's keep making some stuff up.
Perfect. Before we get started, as always, I'm not a medical professional or a licensed therapist. My podcast and other resources are based on my personal experiences with mental health, and please heed any advice you get from your medical professionals or mental health professionals. Okay, are you ready to talk?
I'm ready to talk.
Okay. Okay, so to get started, can you just share a little bit about your own experience with anxiety, just to
Sure.
give people some context for where you're coming from?
Yeah, my experience with anxiety is quite limited compared to something like panic disorder. I've never had like a diagnosed mental health condition. Um, but I had little snippets that help me like understand some of what you're going through. The first I can remember is having like a breathing anxiety in high school, which I never identified as an anxiety. It was just like, I remember asking a guy in my class who I knew had a collapsed lung what that was like because I was convinced that I must have a collapsed lung.
Mm. Typical anxious person behavior.
Yeah. And he was like, if you had a collapsed lung, you would know.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. So that was a thing that I dealt with for months. I think it was freshman or sophomore year. I dealt with that for months. Um, and like, of course, like I had the general anxieties of life with like work stuff and relationship stuff at different points in life that like, at times like really weighed on me. Again, not in any kind of disordered way, but enough to give me a feeling to extrapolate to try to understand what you were going through. The closest thing I ever had to a panic attack was during a triathlon. I I wore a wetsuit that I had never worn before, and it was really tight on my whole body, but especially my chest. And then I was swimming in a mass start, so like 100 people jumped in the water at the same time. We're all racing towards the same point,
Mm-hmm.
which I'd only done like two other times. And then I'm wearing this wetsuit that's like constricting my chest. And I really started freaking out a little bit and was confused as to why as I was doing it because I'm like, okay, this is stressful, but I know how to swim.
Yeah.
And then I just kept freaking out more and was like, I think I'm gonna have a panic attack. And then
Mm.
so I like kind of slowed down and got out of the group of people and did my backstroke until I calmed down. And then I finished the race. But that was like an illuminating experience
Yeah.
as to like being on the edge of a panic attack. Um, Again, gave me some nice perspective
Yeah.
for what it's kind of like when you go through that.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. So I had panic disorder and other anxiety disorders for about 15 years, from approximately ages 12 to 27. And there were a lot of ups and downs. We had, I had good times and bad times. The majority of the bad times were after we were together.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of the struggle for me and for almost everyone who has disordered anxiety is the guilt that comes with having loved ones around you who are also affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
So not only can you not control your own feelings and situation, but you can't control how the people around you are affected by it either. And so it's this like additional layer.
I remember that.
Yeah. So I'm curious how much you were aware of that and also how you managed this like additional layer of my mental health issue that affected you.
Yeah. At that time in my life, how old were we? 20, 25.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for the worst of it, probably we were 25, 26.
Yeah. So like, I was a 25-year-old guy, not known for my emotional intelligence, even among 25-year-old men.
Mm.
So it definitely wasn't something I picked up on naturally.
Thanks for your
I,
honesty.
yeah, I only noticed it when you told me. Once you
Yeah.
told me, it made sense and it was like something I thought about. It became a thing that I was paying attention to once you told me it was a thing for you. And it was interesting. It's interesting to look back on because I felt really bad that that was a factor of everything you were
Mm.
dealing with.
Hmm.
And at the same time, I recognized that it was the most motivating of all of the things you were experiencing.
Yeah.
So it gave me hope.
Hmm.
And it was also in like from the angle of being okay myself. I guess it was reassuring to me to know you felt bad, that like
Interesting.
my life kind of sucked too.
Mm. Kind of validating.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but the motivation part for you was the biggest one on my mind.
Mm.
Like,
What do you mean by it being the most motivating thing for me?
well, that's a good question. I don't,
I think you're right.
yeah, I can't think of like specific moments where you're like, well, I'm gonna do this because I feel guilty. But just the way you talked about it and the way you talked about everything else really gave me the feeling that, yeah, of all the things that were gonna like push you to do hard things and get through exposure therapies and make progress, it was just clear through all the little micro things that happened in our interactions that the guilt of affecting my life was the biggest
Mm.
one.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that made me want to not hold it back.
Oh, like pretend that it didn't affect you or
Yeah.
yeah.
And like I had to meter it. I think we'll probably talk about that kind of concept a couple times, but like that's like the coach mentality of
Mm.
like you need to be pushed, you need motivation, and you need also to not have so much that it overwhelms you and it feels like you can't live up. Not that I would ever try to make you feel guilty, but just like knowing how it was affecting me was like a dial that I would kind of play with
Mm.
when like
Interesting.
it would come to my mind when I was feeling terrible
Yeah, of
about
course.
my own life.
Hmm.
And then I would kind of like be noticing like, okay, what's going on with Amanda and can she take a little more?
Oh, so you're like gauging what my tolerance
Yeah,
was.
like can
Oh,
she take a little more? Will that
yeah.
like get her going today or
Hmm.
tonight, or will that put her over the edge of like everything is too much?
Hmm.
And that would be the kind of the deciding what I would share with you.
Interesting. Yeah, we probably also didn't get that balance right all the time.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I definitely gave you pressure or let you feel bad about things when it was too much.
Hmm. Yeah. It was a lot of trial and error. I mean, with everything,
Yeah.
the whole like recovering from disordered anxiety process is a lot of trial and error,
Yeah.
trying things, not having it not work, and then adjusting. Yeah. The worst of my anxiety was in 2019 when I was having the worst panic attacks, like pretty much, I mean, daily panic attacks. I was agoraphobic,
Yeah.
scared to leave the house. I didn't leave the house very often. And if I did, it was always with you. You were my safe person, is like the term that people in this community use.
Yeah. So that was the time when I would like, if I was going to work, I would either drive you to work
Mm-hmm.
or take you to work with me and you would sit in my truck.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't be
Yeah.
left alone. So it was a huge hurdle in my life to
Yeah.
to get past. Um, During that time, during the worst of it, is when I learned about exposure therapy. So when I learned kind of the basics of it, I shared that with you. Like, hey, this is a new thing I learned that I'm trying. This is how it works. And you immediately went into coach mode, which is very natural to you
Yeah,
to,
for sure.
you know, you heard that I had a goal And so you did some work on your end. You researched and then learned how to support me and then actively supported me and also challenged me, I think was part of it, which I think for most people is the hard part of support when you had to actually push back. And I mean, there were a lot of times where I would be having a panic attack or even just feel nervous. Like I had a lot of health anxiety. So I'd be nervous that my heart was beating too fast or I was dizzy. And why was I dizzy? And you would tell me, like, you have to get up off the couch and walk up and down the stairs a couple times to prove to your brain that it's okay.
Yeah.
And I would say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm too scared. And you knew kind of what I could tolerate at that point. And I would get really angry. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't describe it as really angry.
It
I would just call
felt
it.
that's kind of angry.
Yeah, I do remember that. I mean, for us, like, it was absolutely necessary. And
Yeah.
and you getting mad at me, like, you're one of the bar for you to get mad at me is like really high compared to the typical person. So like the
Sure.
typical person with a more typical dynamic is like anxious person's going to get angry easier and the partner is going to be more uncomfortable with that anger
Yeah,
than
that's
we
a good
were.
point.
So
Yeah,
it'll
that could be really tricky.
could be more of a challenge, but like yeah, it was absolutely necessary. Like if we had to be at the point where you were mad at me, I think what I'm getting to is like pretty much anyone's going to get to the point where anxious person is going to have to get mad at their partner. So, partner, you got to be willing to make them angry.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to
But
do.
yeah,
When we were talking about this earlier, you had mentioned one of the important things that you feel in being a partner is like what you did in kind of researching what's going on here. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was like, it's kind of like a hobby to read about like behavioral psychology, like how the brain works and how that plays in with like how much money you pay for stuff and like what you know, whether you decide to eat healthy food or not. Like that's just like generally a thing that's always interested me. So yeah, when you started telling me what you were learning,
Yeah.
there were things that I had read that already lined up, and then I was reading more things. I think accidentally I was reading
Yeah.
a book called Thinking Fast and Slow at the time. But yeah, it's like it doesn't talk about anxiety at all. That was cool to just see the crossovers and start like putting the pieces together. And it just helped to be learning and being able to do that with my brain, to give myself something to do and feel like I was making progress.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. You never read that book?
No, I didn't.
I had told you every interesting part though, so you kind of
Yeah, it is on my list to read.
Okay, I remembered you were talking about we were talking about making you mad and stuff like that, and I didn't have any like amazing examples.
Yeah.
I remembered this one situation. I think the cabin drive that like you would know what I'm talking about. Kind of an infamous moment.
Infamous.
That really encapsulates, I guess, the whole experience of this with between partners. So Amanda's family's cabin, your family's cabin, hour and 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
We weren't traveling anywhere at that time.
No.
But we had talked about, so family cabin weekend during the summer.
Yeah.
You know, Minnesota in the summer on a lake. It's the best thing ever. One of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah.
And we had talked about how, I think you had told me when we were talking about whether or not to go, that you wanted to go for it because the previous summer or earlier that summer, we had been at the cabin and you had been pretty anxious. And then when you were there, you felt like the anxiety subsided. You were fine.
Yeah, once I was there for a little bit.
Which was unusual, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember you talking about the way it would just grind on you anytime we were away from home.
Yeah, typically when we would travel and I'd be away from home, it was this constant like low level being on edge. But at my family's cabin, it's somewhat of a safe place. Like I grew up going there. It's kind of like a second home in a way. And so I think that's why, as I was so familiar with it.
Yeah.
And all of my family was there and I'm comfortable with them. And so there's really, as far as extenuating like anxiety triggers, there are kind of none aside from the fact that I'm so far from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So you were like, you were feeling like it would be worth it if you could just get there.
Yeah.
And on the way there, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes into the car ride, maybe a little
Yeah.
further.
I mean, no, I think it was like, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was 30 minutes.
I mean, you started panicking.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, we like pulled over.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pulled like I think we were on the interstate and I like pulled off the interstate.
Yeah.
And
We like got gas or something, but we didn't need to.
yeah, and you were like I think at first you were like, "Okay, I need to calm down.
Yeah.
Keep going." And we did that and it was pretty immediate like
Yeah.
we drive for a minute and you're like,
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Like, it's visceral in my memory how
Yeah.
panicked I was.
I wanted to go to the cabin so I did not want to spend another weekend sitting at
Yeah.
home doing nothing, laying around you being
In the
anxious.
summer. Yeah.
It was killing me. I was
It
like,
was
we
a
have
hard
to get there.
summer.
I was kind of mad,
Yeah.
for sure. I was trying to hold it in. I don't know how
Yeah,
well
you
did I
did a
hold-
great job. I didn't think, I mean, I could tell you wanted to go. You didn't seem mad at all.
Yeah, but I didn't go back. I was like, I'll stop. We'll drive like off the interstate so that I can pull over at any time.
Oh, yeah, we took like a
Took back roads.
frontage road, kind of.
We were on back roads and then
Yeah.
I like stopped. Was like, okay, like you're fine now, right? And then yeah. I was like, okay, well, it's not really any different if I drive a few more minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know, did we talk about the proximity to hospitals at the time? Because
Yeah,
that was a big
huge
thing for you,
deal.
right?
Yes.
And I think,
I didn't want to be further than like 10 minutes from a hospital because we lived at the time like in an urban area where there's like hospitals everywhere. And yeah, being in a rural area where you can't get to a hospital like immediately was so scary to me.
I don't remember this explicitly, but I think one of the things we must have been talking about was that proximity to hospitals. Because I'm like, okay, we're in Minneapolis, we're out of Minneapolis, we're 30 minutes out of Minneapolis. Like we're closer to St. Cloud now than we are to Minneapolis. So actually, if keep driving, we get closer to hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
Like
you
I can just
tricked me.
picture myself saying that to you.
Yeah.
And then it's like we're out like the cabin near Alexandria, Minnesota, between Alexandria and St. Cloud. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm sure I was trying to convince you, like,
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna be within 20 minutes of a hospital the entire time, anyways, or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was definitely like pushing you as far as I could
Yeah.
on that. Like I was stretching you to the max, and I was really motivated not only because I really wanted to have a good weekend, but I believed you that you were like gonna feel pretty good being there, and that would be a breakthrough for you.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, if I can push through this for an hour and 45 minutes, yeah, that would be a breakthrough if you could enjoy that weekend with your family.
Yeah.
And
it was.
It was.
Yeah, it was a
So,
great weekend. After I was there for a couple hours.
yeah.
It was great.
I think that we wouldn't remember it so vividly if it was just a turnaround and go home. It
Yeah.
would just faded into the
Oh, for sure. I mean, how many of
swamp
those?
of everything
Yeah.
else.
How many of those things happened that we don't remember? I mean, because that was happening
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you were talking about how you would not try to pretend like everything was fine,
Yeah.
but also kind of mitigate how much you were showing me of how difficult
Yeah.
this process was on you because you didn't want to make me feel worse than was motivating to me.
Yes.
So what can you how can you guide people through managing that specifically, like taking care of yourself and taking care of me or taking
Totally.
care of your partner or your friend?
Totally. I mean, I think the big one very broadly is like kind of like relationship advice more than anxiety advice. Is like you have to like be your own person. Like that's the way some people are married, and some people are married or partnered in a way that like they do stuff together. They're always together and they're always talking about everything, and how one person is doing is how the other person is doing, and like who knows, 80% of their social life is like the same social life.
Yeah.
Um, and that I don't know if I could have been nearly as useful. Like, I think if that's how our life was, I would have just been depressed.
Mm. If we were that enmeshed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I had my hobbies, and I mean, I think at that time you were friends with all my friends, but I had friends that I spent time with without you. And my hobby was the big thing, and I was really invested in triathlon training at the time.
Yeah.
And so that was not a safe place, but it's an element of control. It's like this is a thing I can control. Like I can't control how our social life goes. I can't control if we get to go on vacation
Yeah.
or if I do or don't have to drive you to work. But my bike is on the machine in the basement. I can control that I can get better at riding my bike faster.
Yeah.
And
It's
I could
self-care.
yeah, it was like being able to like have that control in something that I cared about and invested in. I think gave me I mean some level of fulfillment in life, but also like let me zoom my brain out to like
Yeah.
think about the problems, and so that kind of like your problems could be my problems in the fact that you're my wife, but not like your problems are my problems. They're like in my brain, you know? And I
Yeah.
feel like if I didn't have that independence, it would have been more like that.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So yeah, you got to keep doing your stuff.
Keep doing your stuff.
Keep getting after it.
So another thing that we had talked about earlier is in this whole process, and this applies to partners, but also parents, friends, anyone who is a support person of someone who has disordered anxiety, that communication both ways was super helpful to you in particular. What can you say about
Oh,
that?
well, I would get really discouraged about your progress or lack thereof. And I have vivid memories of a feeling. Like I wish I could recreate a conversation, but like basically I would have the feeling of, you know, either things are not going as well as they were last week, or they feel like they're the same for a few weeks. Like we're not making progress here or we're going
Yeah.
backwards. And I would just get really discouraged about that. And then there would definitely be times where like I wouldn't necessarily ask you directly about it. We'd just be talking about things, and then you'd start talking about the internal work that you'd been doing or how a thing you experienced felt a little better, you felt a little more in control. You felt like you were getting a foothold, and that would just snap me out of it. I'm like, okay, as long as we're making progress, then this is going to be better eventually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the communication from my end was like hearing from you any little win was like, okay, as long as we're getting little wins, it's going to be okay. I guess another part of the communication, like me being able to tell you, as we talked about, like that things were really hard for me, was also like a catharsis of, I can just say it out loud and you can understand it. And yeah, both of those things I think were really important to me, just being able to keep going and keep trying to be useful to you.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. What about you?
About communication?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's helpful to talk about your struggles. I mean, with anything that you struggle with, it's helpful to talk about it with somebody to kind of get it out of your brain. So in that sense, of course, that was helpful to me. I think also knowing how you were feeling was helpful because I always imagined the worst possible
Yes.
scenario.
A little catastrophizing.
Oh yeah, big time.
I'm pretty good at that.
Really good at that. So hearing you describe it, like yeah, I'm discouraged. Yeah, I want to travel. Yeah, I want to be able to stop driving you to and from work every day. Like that would make my schedule a lot easier. Like I can handle that,
Right,
you know,
right. Yeah, knowing
versus,
that it's not like I hate you.
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna want to get divorced in
Yeah.
3 months if this doesn't
Yes, totally.
shape up.
Yeah. And those were the kinds of things I assumed, because
Yeah,
I was catastrophizing everything. So, yeah, communication both ways was super helpful.
yeah, super helpful.
Yeah.
It's really, really valuable to remember that any amount of progress is going to result in healing if it continues, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't measure, you don't know if like a little bit of progress every day or week leads to it's all good in a month or 6 or 12. But
Hmm.
like I just kind of instinctively knew that like if we're making progress week over week, month over month, like it's gonna go away.
Hmm.
So that's any big challenge, right?
Yeah.
But that was huge to keep in mind. And especially the longer term, right? Because like days are often worse than the last one, sometimes
Yeah.
weeks too.
Yeah,
But
totally.
if you look in terms of months, we
Hmm.
would do that sometime. Yeah, we'd be doing that sometimes, like looking back, kind of as far as we had to, right, to see progress.
Yeah, totally. Hmm.
Um, yeah. And I guess the other piece of encouragement is like it's a really meaningful thing to be part of such an important journey in someone's life, right?
Mm.
Like if I look back on like you did the real work, but it's like maybe the most significant thing I've ever been part of, right? The
Wow.
hardest thing I've ever been through.
Yeah.
Um, so then, it didn't make me feel better while I was in it, but looking back, it's like, okay, wow, I can talk about being in a relationship, being a partner, being married in terms of anxiety, but also just more broadly. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you really did something that not everyone would do and not many people have. And yeah, doing something like that with someone you love is just a profound, meaningful thing, more so than a trip that we missed or
Mm.
being able to work a little bit longer every day. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's really valuable, profound stuff.
Thanks.
Life is something that can be amazing,
Hmm.
should be amazing, right?
Mm.
And situations like this can get depressing. And when you get depressed, it's hard to feel that. But you have to trust what you've experienced before and what other people say, right?
Yeah.
And it's true, like you can get to a point where you love your life. Yeah. Our life is pretty great right now.
Yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here and sharing all that. If you have questions for me or for Tom about supporting somebody with a mental health issue or just comments or questions about any mental health related topic, you can feel free to send me a message on any of my social channels or email me at amanda@the18minutes.com. If you found this podcast helpful, please leave a quick review. It's really helpful in other anxious people finding this resource. Next Friday, I'll be doing a deep dive on acceptance in exposure therapy and what it is, why it's important, and how to do it step by step. So be sure to check that out as well. Thank you for being here and see you next time.
Bye.